Hello and welcome to Miniature Adventures. I'm Big Lee, and today I want to revisit the subject of wargaming on a budget by looking at some very cheap MDF buildings that I recently bought on eBay. So I've bought and thoroughly enjoyed plenty of the foreground MDF buildings, such as this Normandy farmhouse for instance. Now this, if you bought it off their website, is priced at £28. I actually got it as part of a set with a load of other buildings, got quite a good price on it because I bought a set that somebody didn't want off of eBay basically, and I got it about, I think it was about a third of the price off, so it was very good value. But nonetheless, straight off their website, that is £28, that Normandy building. It's beautiful, loads of detailing, loads of little features, no painting required. I can get, once I assembled it, bump straight down on the table. What I have bought most recently is a set of 6 buildings and 2 ruins and some farm walls, some walls to go in, garden walls or whatever to go around the buildings. And I got that lot for £17.99. Now, if I just show you the quality of the buildings, they are very basic. Very, very simple buildings. Obviously they come apart, you've got separate floors and so on, but not the high level of detail that you would expect from, say, the foreground buildings. However, 6 buildings and 2 ruins and garden walls for £17.99. It means I can get, in effect, a village down on the table, and with a bit of painting, they're not going to look too bad. Once they're down on the table, well, obviously you get up close, there's the quality and the finish is not going to be anywhere near the foreground stuff. I get that. But if I was going to put 6 buildings down on the table and a couple of sets of ruins, I could easily spend well over £100 if I was to buy from Foreground. And I've got nothing against Foreground, fantastic products, I love them. But I had a particular scenario in mind. I wanted a lot of buildings and I basically wasn't prepared to shell out over £100 for one game. So I had a look around online, and my mate Ray recommended a company called JB Wargaming, a guy called John, who does a load of really cheap MDF buildings and other items on his eBay page, and I'll put the link below in the comments so that you can find him. And yes, the buildings and the stuff that he does is very basic, but you know what? It's really cheap. I couldn't get that many buildings down on the table at any one time. I mean, another example of the sort of buildings that I've bought in the past, right? This one is from, this is a Peter Pig, and it's a resin building, so it's pretty solid. So of course no floors. Now I bought this back when I was only playing Water Tanker, and I didn't need to worry about infantry getting in buildings. And of course once I did start playing Chain of Command, I needed buildings where I could take the floors off, put men inside and so on. Hence the reason I started buying foreground stuff again. I used to collect some years ago. Unfortunately I sold all that madness, and here I am buying it all again. Although it has to be said, the foreground stuff has improved a lot over the years. So these are the sort of buildings I've bought before. Now this one from Peter Pig was £10, unpainted, and then I painted it myself. Now that's pretty good value considering how heavy and how it's solid resin. They weren't too bad. £28 if you buy this off the website, or 6 of these for £17.99. It's a bit of a no-brainer. If you're on a budget and you're trying to stretch your money, then definitely worth checking out this guy on eBay. There are plenty of other sellers as well doing MDF terrain, but his stuff is really cheap. Ray has made a load of 28mm buildings and done some conversions on them and really made them look really quite good. I'm going to be a little bit more basic with these because they're only for one game. So I've got a basic paint job in mind, a little bit of tightening them up to make them look a little bit better. But once they're down on the table, you're not really, unless you're getting that right up and close, you're not really going to appreciate the fact that they're very basic. It's just going to look good on the table. So I heartily recommend them. I will put links to all of these products that I've shown you, these 2 buildings and the set from this guy. He does smaller sets, less buildings, does them in different scales. Loads of products on his site, so well worth checking out. And this is really the point of the video, is that it's worth checking out on eBay to see what products are available on there. There's always somebody out there, homemade stuff, being sold relatively cheaply compared to some of the more commercial products. So, if you've never used eBay before, I heartily recommend it. I often go through eBay and will find a product and go, I'm interested in that, but I think I can make it myself. So roads, for instance, and other pieces of terrain like that, I might look at it and go, I can do that myself, and I can do it cheaper and I can make more of it. Other times I may just think, do you know what, I'm prepared to pay that price. It's still cheaper than some of the more commercial products. Spend a few quid and get it pre-painted and it's ready to use straight away. So, you know, I find eBay a really useful resource for inspiration as well as cheap products. But in the case of these particular buildings, definitely worth the $17.99. Now, you actually get 4 buildings that are intact. The dormers I'm not particularly keen on. They're not very nicely made, so I only put them on a couple of the buildings. I've left it off some of the others. The only bit of the building really I didn't like. The doors are only laser etched, so I've got to be careful when I paint that I make sure I highlight the doors so they stand out. Unlike on the foreground stuff where they tend to be inset and there's a little bit more detailing, these are just laser etched on there. But again, you know, that's what you get for the price. I mean, I still think that's very good value. They also do a part of this set of 6 buildings includes 2 that have some battle damage to them. So varying amounts of battle damage to the roofs and the walls and so on. And then there's also 2 half buildings where they've collapsed. And what I'm going to do is I've got a big pile of bits of MDF offcuts and stuff. I'm going to smash all that up. I've got some HO scale bricks that I recently bought and other things, and I'm going to basically make a load of rubble to go inside these, very similar to the resin buildings that I showed off a few weeks ago. And then in addition to these the two ruined buildings, there's some fences to go out the front. So these are garden fences basically, and you can put them up against the buildings. So if I show you, so you end up with, there you go, garden fences. Now I ain't fitted them on, I'm not sticking them on, I want them separate so that I can use them or not use them as I see fit. And I'll paint these up the same colour as the buildings probably. I'm going to do everything grey basically, with white shutters and a red roof. Very, very simple paint job, but that will do for me. I think they'll look really nice on the table, and it will look quite effective when you get a lot of buildings like that, and as I say, very competitive price. So that's really the basis of this video, is me saying check out eBay. If you've never used it before, it's a great source of inspiration. You can often find cheap products, and with a lot of the small scale homemade products that are available to buy on eBay. Not only are they relatively cheap, but you can get some inspiration there, because if your modelling skills are up to it, you can look at the products they're making and go, I think I might be able to replicate that myself. Give it a try, particularly if you need a lot of terrain. I mean, let's face it, you know, when you're buying a set of roads and you're going to pay, I don't know, £10 or £15 for a set of roads, the reality is you probably need 3 or 4 of those sets to give you enough roads for a decent sized table, and then it all mounts up in terms of price. If you can make all that yourself for a fraction of the price, then it's a winner. Particularly if you've got a club and you can all gang together to make terrain like that. I wholeheartedly recommend making your own terrain if you can. And like the hills that I made a few weeks ago, you know, again, if I bought that commercially, it probably would have looked very similar to what I ended up with. But would have cost me a considerable amount more. Now, you know, I'm quite happy to spend money on things like the foreground buildings. They're beautiful, they're really nice, they'll last for ages. But sometimes you do need a cheaper option. So, you know, I'm not going to waste my money flagrantly. These buildings from the cheaper buildings I've just got from eBay, from JB Wargaming, John, are well worth the money. It's $17.99 for 4 whole buildings, 2 ruined buildings and 2 complete ruins, plus garden walls. That's an excellent price, so definitely worth checking out. As I say, I'll put the links for all of these products in the comment in the section below, and let me know what you think. So here they are, fully painted up. A very basic paint scheme, pretty generic. I want to keep them in that sort of grey colour that a lot of Normandy buildings are painted in. And let's say the paint scheme is very basic, but very effective. And each house has a yard out front which you can remove. You don't have to have it in front of the building if you don't want. And then you get a couple of ruined buildings as well. So for the price, as I've mentioned several times, £18 there, that works out at, you know, less than £3 a house when you consider the fact that you've got a couple of ruined buildings as well. So excellent value. and a very easy and quick way of getting some buildings down on the table. And I can mix in with this some of the better quality foreground stuff when I want a specialist item like a shop or a larger building, and I think they'll work. I put them next to each other, and actually they're quite good for scale. So again, highly recommend buying these. So I hope you found that video interesting and useful, and please go over and check out JB Wargaming's pages on his shop front, if you like, on eBay. Well worth a look. So until next week, look after yourself. I hope you're starting to get some games in now that the rules in England are starting to be relaxed for mixing and getting into each other's houses. And of course, as always, keep rolling high.